Exodus chapter 14. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back to Pi-hahiroth. Tell them to camp for the night between Migdol and the Red Sea. This is near Baal-zephon. The king will think the Israelites are lost, trapped by the desert. I will make the king stubborn again, so he will chase after them. But I will defeat the king and his army. This will bring honor to me. Then the people of Egypt will know that I am the Lord." The people of Israel did just as they were told. The king of Egypt was told that the people of Israel had already left. Then he and his officers changed their minds about them. They said, "What have we done? We have let the people of Israel leave. We've lost our slaves." So the king prepared his war chariot and took his army with him. He took 600 of his best chariots. He also took all the other chariots of Egypt. Each chariot had an officer in it. The Lord made the king of Egypt stubborn. So he chased the Israelites who were leaving victoriously. The king of Egypt came with his horses, chariot drivers, and army, and they chased the Israelites. They caught up with the Israelites while they were camped by the Red Sea. This was near Pi-hahiroth and Baal-zephon. The Israelites saw the king and his army coming after them. They were very frightened and cried to the Lord for help. They said to Moses, "What have you done to us? Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the desert? There were plenty of graves for us in Egypt. We told you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us stay and serve the Egyptians. Now we will die in the desert.'" But Moses answered, "Don't be afraid. Stand still and see the Lord save you today. You will never see these Egyptians again after today. You will only need to remain calm. The Lord will fight for you." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Command the people of Israel to start moving. Raise your walking stick and hold it over the sea. The sea will split, then the people can cross the sea on dry land. I have made the Egyptians stubborn, so they will chase the Israelites. But I will be honored, and when I defeat the king and all of his chariot drivers and the chariots, I will defeat the king, his chariot drivers and chariots. Then Egypt will know that I am the Lord." The angel of God usually travelled in front of Israel's army. Now the angel of God moved behind them. Also, the pillar of cloud moved from in front of the people and stood behind them. So the cloud came between the Egyptians and the people of Israel. The cloud made it dark for the Egyptians, but it gave light to the Israelites. So the cloud kept the two armies apart all night. Moses held his hand over the sea. All that night the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind, and so he made the sea become dry ground. The water was split, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry land. A wall of water was on both sides. Then all the king's horses, chariots, and chariot drivers followed them into the sea. Between 2 and 6 o'clock in the morning, the Lord looked down from the pillar of cloud and fire at the Egyptian army. He made them panic. He kept the wheels of the chariots from turning. This made it hard to drive the chariots. The Egyptians shouted, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them and against us Egyptians." Then the Lord told Moses, "Hold your hand over the sea. Then the water will come back over the Egyptians, their chariots, and the chariot drivers." So Moses raised his hand over the sea, and at dawn the water became deep again. The Egyptians were trying to run from it, but the Lord swept them away into the sea. The water became deep again. It covered the chariots and chariot drivers, so all the king's armies that had followed the Israelites into the sea was covered. Not one of them survived. But the people of Israel crossed the sea on dry land. there was a wall of water on their right and on their left. So that day the Lord saved the Israelites from the Egyptians, and the Israelites saw the Egyptians lying dead on the seashore. Ew. When the people of Israel saw the great power that the Lord had used against the Egyptians, they feared the Lord, and they trusted the Lord and his servant Moses. Exodus chapter 15. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he is worthy of great honour. He has thrown the horse and its rider into the sea. The Lord gives me strength and makes me sing. He has saved me, he is my God, I will praise him. He is the God of my ancestors, and I will honour him. The Lord is a great warrior. The Lord is his name. The chariots and soldiers of the king of Egypt he has thrown into the sea. The king's best officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters covered them. They sank to the bottom like a rock. Your hand, Lord, is amazingly strong. Lord, your right hand broke the enemy into pieces. In your great victory, you destroyed those who are against you. Your anger destroyed them like fire burning straw. Just a blast of your breath, and the waters were blown back, and the moving waters stood up like a wall, and the deep waters became solid in the middle of the sea. The enemy bragged, I'll chase them, I'll catch them, I'll take their riches, I'll take all I want, I'll put out my sword, and my hand will destroy them. But you blew on them with your breath and covered them in the sea. They sank like lead in the powerful water. Are there any gods like you, Lord? No, there are no gods like you. You are wonderfully holy. You are amazingly powerful. You do great miracles. You reached out with your right hand, and earth swallowed our enemies. You kept your loving promise. You led the people you have saved. With your strength, you will guide them to your holy land. The other nations will hear this and tremble with fear. Terror will take hold of the Philistines. The leaders of the tribes of Edom will be very frightened. The powerful men of Moab will shake with fear. The people of Canaan will lose all of their courage. Those people will be filled with fear. When they see your strength, they will be as still as a rock. They will be still until your people pass by, Lord. They will be still until the people you have brought from slavery pass by. You will lead your people and place them on your very own mountain. Lord, that is the place you made for yourself to live. Lord, that is the temple that your hands have made. The Lord will rule forever. The horses, chariot drivers, and chariots of the king of Egypt went into the sea. And the Lord covered them with water from the sea, but the Israelites walked through the sea on dry land. Then Aaron's sister Miriam, who was a prophetess, took a tambourine in her hand. All the women followed her, playing tambourines and dancing. Miriam told them, "Sing to the Lord, because he is worthy of great honor. He has thrown the horse and rider into the sea." Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea. The people went to the desert of Shur. They travelled for 3 days in the desert but found no water. Then they came to Marah, where there was water, but they could not drink it because it was too bitter. That is why the place was named Marah. The people grumbled to Moses. They asked, "What will we drink?" Moses cried out to the Lord, so the Lord showed him a tree. Moses threw the tree into the water, and the water became good to drink. There the Lord gave people a rule and a law to live by. There he also tested their loyalty to him. He said, "You must obey the Lord your God. You must do what the Lord says is right. You must obey all his laws and keep his rules. If you do these things, I will not give any of you sicknesses that I gave the Egyptians. I am the Lord. I am the Lord who heals you." Then the people travelled to Elim. At Elim there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. So the people camped there near the water. Exodus chapter 16. Then the whole Israelite community left Elim. They came to the desert of Sin. This place was between Elim and Sinai. They came to this place on the 15th day of the second month after they had left Egypt. Then the whole Israelite community grumbled to Moses and Aaron in the desert. The Israelites said to them, "It would be even better if the Lord had killed us in the land of Egypt. There we had meat to eat. We had all the food we wanted. But you brought us out into this desert. You will starve us to death here." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will cause food to fall like rain from the sky. This food will be for all of you. Every day the people must go out and gather what they need for the day. I will do this to see if the people will do what I teach them. On the 6th day of each week, they are to gather twice as much as they gather on the other days. Then they are to prepare it." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "This evening you will know that the Lord is the one who brought you out of Egypt. Tomorrow morning you will see the greatness of the Lord. He has heard you grumble against him. We are nothing. You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." And Moses said, "Each evening the Lord will give you meat to eat, and every morning he will give you all the bread you want. He will do this because he has heard you grumble against him. You're not grumbling against Aaron and me. You are grumbling against the Lord." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Speak to the whole community of the Israelites, saying to them, Meet together in front of the Lord, because he has heard your grumblings." So Aaron spoke to the whole community of the Israelites. While he was speaking, they looked towards the desert, and the greatness of the Lord appeared in a cloud. And the Lord said to Moses, "I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel, so tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and every morning you will eat all the bread you want. Then they will know that I am the Lord your God." That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning dew lay around the camp. When the dew was gone, that's DEW, thin flakes of frost were on the desert ground. When the Israelites saw it, they asked each other, "What is that?" They asked this question because they did not know what it was. So Moses told them, "This is the bread the Lord has given you to eat." The Lord commanded, "Each one of you must gather what he needs. Gather about 2 quarts for every person in your family." So the people of Israel did this. Some people gathered much and some gathered little. Then they measured it. The person who gathered more did not have too much. The person who gathered less did not have too little. Each person gathered as much as they needed. Moses said to them, "Do not keep any of it to eat the next day." But some of the people did not listen to Moses. They kept part of it to eat the next morning, but it became full of worms and began to stink. So Moses was angry with these people. Every morning each person gathered as much food as they needed, but when the sun became hot, it melted away. On the 6th day, the people gathered twice as much food. They gathered 4 quarts for every person. So all the leaders of the community came and told this to Moses. Moses said to them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is the Sabbath, the Lord's holy day of rest. Bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil today, but save the rest of the food until tomorrow morning." So the people saved it until the next morning, as Moses had commanded, and none of it began to stink or have worms in it. Moses told the people, "Eat the food you gathered yesterday. Today is a Sabbath and the Lord's day of rest. So you will not find any out in the field today. You should gather the food for 6 days. But the 7th day is the Sabbath day, and on that day there will be no food on the ground." On the 7th day, some of the people went out to gather food, but they couldn't find any. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will all the people refuse to obey my commands and teachings? Look, the Lord has made the Sabbath day of rest for